What if I told you that being mean to yourself isn't motivating you at all? In fact, it's probably the one thing holding you back from everything you want in life. Today, I'm sharing the science behind why self compassion is the real key to success, and more importantly, exactly how to develop it. Stay tuned because this just might change everything. Welcome to the Live Free, Love Life podcast, where we discuss how to create more freedom so we can love our lives no matter what we're going through. Hello, my beautiful friends. Today, we're diving into something that literally has the power to transform every single area of your life. I've been thinking a lot about self compassion lately, especially how much my life has changed since I started developing more self compassion. And that brought me to wanting to help you all get to the point where I'm at. So I decided this month's book review would be Self Compassion: The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself by Dr. Kristen Neff. And I'll be honest with you, like Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, which we've covered previously, this isn't my favorite book. It's not as engaging or captivating as I hoped it would be. But here's the thing. The content is absolutely crucial. And as I've told you before, I want to share different voices teaching these concepts so your brain has the best chance of something resonating. And because I have discovered something profound through my own journey and then coaching thousands of people, how we treat, love, and accept ourselves forms the foundation of everything else in our lives. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The quality of my life directly correlates with how well I love and accept myself. It's that simple. So while this book might not win any literary awards, if you haven't mastered self compassion, it is definitely worth your time. So let me paint a picture for you. You know those days where you don't seem to get anything right? Maybe you snapped at your kids this morning, forgot an important work deadline, or said something you regret to your spouse. And now that inner critic of yours is having a field day. You know the voice I'm talking about. The one that tells you you're a terrible mother, you're an incompetent employee, and you're a horrible wife. The one that takes every mistake and turns it into evidence of your unworthiness, of your not enoughness. Now, before we dive into the solutions that Dr. Neff offers in the book, let's talk about what's really at stake here. Because here's the thing, a lack of self compassion isn't just about feeling bad about yourself. It affects literally every single area of your life in ways you may not even realize. So let's start with your relationships. When you are constantly criticizing yourself, you're subconsciously teaching others how to treat you. You might accept behavior you shouldn't because deep down, you don't think you deserve better. Or maybe you're so afraid of making mistakes, they become controlling and critical of others, damaging your connections with the people you love most. And here's something else that I've noticed. The judgment we direct at ourselves never stays contained. When you judge yourself harshly, you inevitably judge others too, even if those judgments never leave your head. The harder you are on yourself, the harder you'll be on everyone around you. But it gets even more complicated. When you are stuck in a pattern of self criticism, you become vulnerable to other people's negative behavior. You take things personally because that critical voice inside of you secretly agrees with them. You end up needing others to behave in certain ways just so you can feel okay about yourself. And trust me, that is an exhausting and painful way to live. Then there's your career. Low self compassion often shows up as perfectionism, people pleasing, and fear of failure. You might stay in a job you hate because you don't believe you're capable of more. Or maybe you're crushing it at work, but feeling like an imposter the whole time, waiting for someone to find out that you're not good enough. You might avoid going for promotions or starting that business you've been dreaming about because your inner critic convinces you that you'll fail. The health impacts are significant too. When you are constantly in a state of self criticism, your body is flooded with stress hormones. This leads to chronic inflammation, a weakened immune system, digestive issues, sleep problems, weight management struggles, accelerated aging, and an increased risk of anxiety and depression. But perhaps the most devastating cost is to your sense of joy and possibility. When you're trapped in a cycle of self criticism, you are living in a prison of your own making. Everything becomes filtered through a lens of not enough. Even your achievements get dismissed because you're so focused on what you did wrong or what could have been better. This is exactly why I believe Dr. Neff's work is so crucial. She's not just offering another self help technique, she's providing a scientifically validated path to freedom from this self imposed prison. In her book, Dr. Neff breaks self compassion down into three core components. I love how practical and accessible she makes these concepts. It's not about positive thinking or forcing yourself to feel better. Instead, it's about developing a completely new relationship with yourself. The first component is self kindness versus self judgment. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but if I'm kind to myself, won't I just let myself off the hook? Won't I lose my motivation? Dr. Neff addresses this fear head on with research showing the exact opposite is true, which is also what I've seen in my coaching practice. When we are kind to ourselves, we're more likely to take responsibility for our actions because we feel safe enough to look at them honestly. We're more likely to learn from our mistakes because we're not stuck in shame. We're more likely to try again after failure because we haven't destroyed our self worth. And we're more likely to make positive changes because we're coming from self love, not self hate. The second component is common humanity versus isolation. How many times have you made a mistake and immediately gone to, what's wrong with me? As if you're the only person who's ever messed up in this way. One thing I've learned through coaching thousands and thousands of women is this profound truth. We are so much more alike than we are different. It's fascinating, really. Our brains love to focus on what makes us different from others, especially those we disagree with. It's a survival mechanism trying to keep us safe by identifying potential threats. But here's what I've seen over and over in my coaching practice. Underneath all those surface differences, we're all just humans doing our best. You aren't some uniquely flawed creature. You're not a special case of messed up. You're human. And humans, we make mistakes all the time. It's not just normal, it's literally part of our design. There is nothing wrong with you. This is one of the most beautiful transformations I get to witness in my clients. That moment when they truly understand deep in their bones that they're perfectly normal in their imperfection. The third component is mindfulness versus over identification. This is where real transformation becomes possible, and it's exactly what I teach in my programs. It's about learning to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting completely swept away by them. Dr. Neff shows us how to notice our self critical thoughts without believing them, feel our emotions without being overwhelmed by them, stay present with our pain without trying to fix it or avoid it, and create space between ourselves and our experiences. One thing I absolutely love about this book is how Dr. Neff backs everything up with research. She's not just sharing nice ideas, she's presenting solid scientific evidence for why self compassion works. The research shows that people with higher levels of self compassion experience less anxiety and depression, handle stress more effectively, have stronger relationships, show greater emotional resilience, are more motivated and productive, and report higher levels of life satisfaction. She also talks about the physiological impact of self compassion. When we're self critical, we activate our threat defense system, that fight, flight, freeze response. But when we're self compassionate, we activate our care system, releasing oxytocin and opiates that help us feel safe and connected. One of the things I appreciate most about Dr. Neff's approach is how practical it is. She doesn't just explain why self compassion is important, she shows us exactly how to develop it. One of my favorite tools from the book is the self compassion break. It is a simple 3-step process you can use anytime you're struggling. First, acknowledge your suffering by saying something like, "This is a moment of difficulty." Then, remember your common humanity by reminding yourself that suffering is part of life. Finally, offer yourself kindness by saying something like, May I be kind to myself in this moment. I have taught this to countless clients, and it is amazing how something so simple can be so powerful. It's like hitting a reset button on your nervous system. Another powerful exercise that she puts in the book is compassionate letter writing. This involves writing to yourself as if you were writing to a dear friend facing the same situation. It helps you see your situation more objectively, access the wisdom you already have, practice expressing kindness toward yourself, and develop a more supportive inner voice. Dr. Neff even explains how simply placing a hand on your heart or giving yourself a gentle hug can activate your body's self soothing response. And for some of you, it might feel awkward at first, but the science behind it is fascinating. And for me, totally works. Now, the book goes beyond theory to show how self compassion can transform specific life situations. So she addresses parenting, how to handle mom guilt, deal with parenting mistakes, teach children self compassion, and take care of yourself while taking care of others. She talks about relationships, setting healthy boundaries, handling conflict, dealing with difficult people, and building authentic connections. She covers work situations, managing stress and burnout, handling criticism, setting goals, and building confidence. And she addresses personal growth, making changes without self judgment, developing new habits, pursuing dreams, and overcoming setbacks. As a life coach, I have witnessed the transformative power of self compassion countless times. I have seen women leave toxic relationships because they finally believed they deserved better. I've watched them start successful businesses after years of self doubt. I've seen them heal their relationships with their children by first healing their relationship with themselves. I've witnessed them create lives they truly love by learning to be kind to themselves. So let me share a few of my favorite quotes from the book. Quote number 1: "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need." Quote number 2: "Instead of mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings, self compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings. After all, whoever said you were supposed to be perfect?" Quote number 3: "Self compassion involves recognizing that suffering and personal inadequacy is part of the shared human experience, something that we all go through, rather than being something that happens to me alone." Quote number 4: "If you are continually judging and criticizing yourself while trying to be kind to others, you are drawing artificial boundaries and distinctions that only lead to feelings of separation and isolation." Quote number 5: "Self compassion is not self pity. Self pity says, poor me. Self compassion recognizes that everyone suffers." Quote number 6: "Mindfulness is the first step in self compassion. Mindfulness helps us to recognize when we're suffering." Quote number 7: "Rather than constantly struggling to fix ourselves, we can instead embrace ourselves with all of our imperfections." Quote number 8: "Self compassion gives you the emotional resources needed to cope with setbacks, allowing you to face challenges with greater courage and resilience." And quote number 9: "Self compassion is key to emotional well being, to healthy relationships, to fulfilling work, and to sustainable inner peace." As you think about incorporating self compassion into your own life, here are some questions to consider. How would your life be different if you treated yourself with the same kindness you show to others? What's one area where self criticism is holding you back? What small step could you take today toward being more compassionate with yourself? How might your relationships change if you were more self compassionate? What fears come up when you think about being kinder to yourself? If you're ready to break free from self criticism and create a more loving relationship with yourself, I cannot recommend this book highly enough. The tools and insights align perfectly with what I teach in Live Free, Love Life. So if you want support as you work on this, you should absolutely join. And there is now a free level of membership and an app to make it more accessible. So there is literally no reason not to hit the link in the show notes and join today. Remember, self-compassion isn't about becoming perfect or never struggling. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd show a friend. It's about acknowledging that you're human and that being human means being beautifully imperfect. Maybe it's time to let down your hair, step out of the tower of self-criticism, and embrace the true freedom that comes with true self-compassion. Your happily ever after starts with being kind to yourself. Live free, love life. Thanks so much for watching today. Before you go, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an episode. And while you're still here, I've got something special for you. My Live Free Love Life membership now has a completely free level. You can start transforming your life right now without spending a dime. You'll get access to certain courses, content, and tools that will help you break free from whatever is holding you back and create a life you absolutely love. And when you're ready for even more support, you can easily upgrade to get access to our live coaching calls, as well as way more tools and content. There's honestly no reason not to join the free level today. Just click the link in the description below to get started. Until next time, live free, love life.